today I thought I'd take a minute, to review my turbo for you guys from the Rev 9 turbo that comes with the kit and why I went with this turbo. So, first thing you guys need to know about this turbo. So this turbo is based off the Garrett GTX series. It was made from that style of turbo. It's a GTX 3582R turbo with a billet wheel. So these ones are like the new generation style turbos. They're not like the generic eBay ones that you see on eBay that they're the so-called GTX turbos that like you can find for like 200 and something bucks to like 300 and something like that. In my opinion, personally, those are a lot less quality than this one. This one, as you can see, is a billet wheel. You can even see for yourself like the quality on this. It's pretty nice. I got this turbo for $700 plus tax and shipping and everything like that. The turbo is a 4-inch inlet with a 3-inch outlet. Some of the features that I like about this turbo is, like I said, the billet wheel. So to take off the compressor housing, it's pretty self-explanatory. You use a 13 millimeter gear run. As you see on the front of the compressor, you have this, little port right here. Is that your speed sensor? So if if you're running your turbo and you ever wanted like a speed sensor, you would use this port right here. On the front right here, you see this little vacuum fitting. I personally had mine tapped so I could use it for my vacuum, for my vacuum lines, so I could connect it to the wastegate. Not really, deep into like, routing vacuum lines and all, but you don't really need to, but I had mine tapped so I could collect vacuum for my wastegate. All right, so looking at the front of the turbo with the compressor housing off, you can see the blade and everything. And then on the front, it's like you have this little O-ring gasket to just properly, seal the turbo from any leaks or anything like that. So this turbo is oil cooled and water cooled, but when I say water, I mean coolant specifically. And I want to give a big shout out to one of you guys in the comments section. Told me that I also need to run the coolant ports, which are right here for the turbo. At first, when I bought the turbo, I didn't know I had to run coolant ports. I just thought I just had to run a oil feed and a drain line, and I thought that was it. I didn't have to do anything else. But thanks to one of you guys, I soon learned that I also need to run my coolant lines to cool down the turbo. When you're talking about ARs, really not also gonna go deep into it, but I just want to let you guys know the general gist of understanding AR numbers. So with the stock turbo, the Turbonetics turbo that came with the kit, I believe that turbo, it said Turbonetics 60:1. That turbo is approximately, I believe, at most a 60 AR. When you're talking about ARs and making more power, the concept really goes, the bigger the AR, the bigger the exhaust housing. meaning more exhaust gases has to flow in order to spool up the turbo. And the reason I didn't go with the Turbonetics turbo for my setup was because I realized that with Jair's car, when we tuned his car with that turbo, I realized that the AR was too small. So what we quickly noticed was that we were maxing out that turbo at around, let's say, high 300s, maxing out the turbo already. And in order to make more power, what you need to do is upgrade that AR size. So with the GTX series, you have various AR sizes to choose from. Most of the common ones that people usually go with is the 82 AR housing, the GTX 82R, and then on the specifications it might say 82 AR turbine housing. Another option might say 85 AR housing for the turbine. We're talking just about the turbine side. 85 AR turbine housing, or you might have other options of 1.01 AR housing, or like my setup, 1.06 AR housing. So if you really think about it, I pretty much stepped up from a 60 AR to a 1.06. That's a huge jump, honestly. That's a really, really big jump. So meaning that once you jump from a small AR to a larger AR, you're gonna need more exhaust gases in order to spool up that turbo. Which also means that longer spool time. So the car, well, theoretically, it'll take more time in order to spool up the turbo. So let's say with the Turbonetics turbo, it would spool up a lot quicker because it's a lot smaller. It doesn't need as much as this one to spool it up. But as for this one, with the AR being this big, you need a lot of exhaust gases in order to spool it up. So pretty much that's the general basics of, AR sizes and all that, and why I went with this. And another reason why I also went with this specific setup was also because of the outlet. So as compared to the Turbonetics one, also the Turbonetics turbo comes with a 4-bolt pattern, 2.5-inch exhaust outlet. And one of the things I also noticed with that is that if you think about a turbo system, it's like a breathing system, The better something can breathe and get out those exhaust gases, the better it performs, if you think about it in a way like that. So with the exhaust housing on the Turbonetics being a 2.5, that kind of restricts it a bit. If you're planning on turning up the boost, you're creating a lot of back pressure, and you kind of really don't want that. You want the car to flow as best as possible. That's why you see most people usually go with a open dump, a hood exit. They go with like a large outlet and just dump it straight out the hood, because they want those exhaust gases to come out the turbo as quick and efficient as possible. But with my setup, I didn't want to do exhaust setup, a hood exit. I wanted a downpipe that was large enough, but then also, could go right out to the exhaust of the car and wouldn't shoot out the hood. So what I ended up finding was this 1.06 housing with a 3-inch outlet, V-band, obviously. I went with the V-band setup because it's easy to install. It's not really much of a hassle, and it also helped me create my custom downpipe, 3-inch downpipe, which I do have on the car, which connects and bolts right up to this housing. So just give you guys a closer look of the exhaust. So when you look also at the front of the turbo, the front of the turbo usually also has AR numbers too. So keep in mind, there's an AR number for the exhaust housing, as well as an AR number for the compressor side. Most people usually get that mixed up, but just want to let you guys know, there's an AR for the exhaust and AR for the compressor. So the AR for the compressor housing, which is this, is a 72 AR. So don't get it mixed up with this one. This one is a 72, this one is a 1.06. And same principle, the larger you go, the more spool time, the more time it is going to take to spool up that turbo. And if you compare this series turbo from the company that I got this from to the Garrett DTX series, the 3582R, most of the ARs are pretty much similar, but most of their compressors are usually 70 AR instead of a 72. Like I have a bigger one. I would have opted out for a 70, but I couldn't find a 70, so I just went ahead and got it in a 72 because that's what they offered. And then I got I found an option to get my exhaust housing, that 1.06. So it was really, really good. Lucky I really found that. Really couldn't, ask for anything else. So when you look at the drain port, the drain ports are 10 AN. That's 10. You can put a 10 AN to your drain, oil pan spacer or your oil pan. So that's that. You always want to make sure you put the gasket around it, so it doesn't leak or anything. And then in the front, you have your fitting that also comes with the kit for your oil feed. So with these billet turbos, they have a restrictor on the top. So when oil goes in here, it kind of it goes through like a little hole, which restricts the amount of flow. Like higher pressure, just lubricate the turbo a lot better, so the oil doesn't just flow and just go straight down to the drain. You want that pressure, so it lubricates everything really, really well. And then what I found out, the coolant ports, you have 2 on each side. So I will be making another video on installing some coolant ports on this car, on my setup on my car. And I'm just waiting for those, for the kit to come in, my coolant kit to come in. And I'm going to show you guys and everything and all that and so on and so forth. But for the coolant ports, it really doesn't matter which one you use for, I don't think it really matters which one you use for a drain. One is a drain, one is a feed. Same principle as these two. Coolant comes on one side and exits out the other side. So that's that. And now I'm going to take out the exhaust. It's pretty dirty. Might have to clean it up if I put it back inside the car, but I love this thing. Oh yeah, so the turbo also comes with a metal gasket. It's a T3 flange turbo. I believe you can get these also in a T4, but for my setup, it's a T3. Put that off to the side. Okay, so as you can see, this is what it looks like. There you go. Okay, so for this one thing I wanted to talk about with you guys. The kit, the turbo doesn't come with a drain fitting, meaning you need to get one. The issue is it's kind of hard to find a drain fitting, especially for this turbo, because the ones out there, they're a lot larger in width, and the bolt holes don't line up to this turbo. So I will put down a link in the description where you can get a fitting just like this for this specific turbo. So it fits, you know, you don't have to keep on buying fittings because they don't fit. Because I had an issue where I ended up buying 3 fittings, and whenever I would put it on, it wouldn't fit or line up with the bolt holes. So don't want you guys to go through that. Remember, that's 10 a.m. Alright guys, that'll be the end of the video. I want to thank you for tuning in on me reviewing the turbo. If you guys have any questions or suggestions on videos you want me to do, please leave a comment down in the comment section. If you want to know anything about the turbo, anything about my car, or any other parts, just let me know. I'll be glad to do a video about it. This video will be coming out soon, most likely next week. So if you guys want to know more about the car, I'm currently tuning in right now, just running into a few issues that I need to sort out, and then after that I'm gonna have some POVs for you guys, probably some driving clips too. But thank you for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe for more videos and everything like that, and peace out.